Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, so time for the Monday motivation video. Very excited for this week. I hope you have the same kind of energy going into your new week and understand that this is a chance to do everything over again, to do it the way you want to do it. So, Monday motivation, I asked you guys last week, what do you want me to talk about? I got a lot of good responses. I'm going to pick one for today, and we'll do the other one for another day. So the first response I got was from Kristen about how failure is a necessity. And Tushar seconded that and saying only to grow and not make the same mistakes twice. And Rita agreed with them. So for the three of you and maybe others, I thought that was a good topic. I'm going to talk about the necessity of failure. Now, that may not be a popular thing to think about on a Monday morning, but I really want you to change your mindset of how you look at failure in your life. I believe failure is a necessity. And one of the reasons, and the main reason, is because I believe through failure, we get to know ourselves better. And that's one of the goals in life, is to get to know our giftings, our talents, to know ourselves in a deeper way so that we can move better in our purpose. So that's a famous saying that you hear if you study Greek literature from the philosophers, know thyself. You need to know yourself better. If you never failed, you would never know where you need to push yourself. If you never failed, you would never know what's important to you. If you never failed, you would never understand how to develop your gifts and talents. Failure is like a feedback loop. Think of it that way. It's a way of us recalibrating ourselves based on life experiences to get a better outcome. Failure is, in fact, something that fuels us. And that is somewhat dependent upon how we react to it. But if you look mostly at humanity and the stories that inspire us and the stories that really change lives, they're stories most often born out of failure. So you see failure as a necessary part of success, because success includes knowing yourself and knowing what your purpose is. And finding your purpose is usually done through a series of failures. Those failures can be made from bad choices that we've made. Those failures can be a result of someone else's decisions that were impressed upon us. They can come from any number of places. But as you look at the trajectory of success in someone's life, failure is deeply woven into that, and it's an important piece of it. I say to my kids in sports, you need to learn how to lose gracefully, how to face failure gracefully before you can win gracefully. Because I think it's important that we win the right way. I think it's important that we embrace success and experience success correctly in our lives so that we don't become puffed up and think that it's only about us. So failure is an important learning asset in all of that. You look at a little kid, a little baby who's learning to walk. Failure is an important part of that process. The baby's going to learn to walk. No one questions that. But the baby has to be able to fall and do other things so that it can, trip, whatever it is, so it can figure out how to walk correctly, so it can strengthen the leg muscles, so it can start to develop balance and all of that. It's a necessary part of the success of moving to the next stage in that baby's life, which is walking and then running. So it's really built into our experience as humans. I don't want you to be afraid of failure. If you're afraid of failure, what happens is you hold yourself back. Inevitably, you will try to avoid things that appear as though they may be opportunities for you to fail. If you can turn that on its head and embrace that, say, hey, listen, if I fail, that's great because it's one more step towards success. You will find yourself propelling into your future and purpose that much faster. But as Tushar says, let's not make the same mistakes over and over again. Sometimes we make a mistake twice, 3 times, whatever that is. But if we continue to make the same mistake, we need to look at ourselves and say, what decisions are we making? What choices? How are we using the failure in our life to actually change ourselves and to change our decisions? If we're not using it as a feedback loop, if we're not using it to adjust and to recalibrate, then it's lost its purpose. Then it becomes failure only for the sake of failure. And that in itself has no power. That in itself has no redeeming qualities. So today, this week, when you look at what you need to do, when you look at the potential for failure this week and the potential for success, first of all, don't be afraid of failure. Make those decisions to the best of your ability. If failure comes your way, embrace it and say, wow, okay, now I know myself that much better. Now I have that much better of a sense of the next step I need to take, because failure is an important feedback loop. And if you're finding yourself in a continual experience of failure in the same area, if you find yourself facing the same repeated mistake, it's time to look deep inside and say, what do I need to change? Because that feedback loop is trying to get your attention and say, listen, you need to make a change here, or you will continue to be in this cycle. And that's what we're all about, right? We're about mastering our mindset and stepping above those things which are holding us back and limiting beliefs that hold us back. And part of that is getting out of that failure loop of the same repeated failure. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that applies to failure. So there's so much to talk about with failure. But for Monday Motivation, we want to keep it short. So I want you to focus today on the fact that failure is an integral part of your success. That failure is that feedback loop that you need once in a while to adjust to reach higher heights. We as humans would not reach for the things that we can do, would not create the most amazing products and services. We would not reach for quite awesome achievements in life and do things that humans are capable of if we didn't have failure along the way, because it actually is what drives us if we see it correctly. So today, for the rest of this week, I want you to change your mindset on how you look at failure and find failure as your fuel and fail forward in your life. Have a great week. We'll see you online.